Hey YouTube, it's Elvis Ammo here. Hey, today I'm going to do something that a lot of you have been asking me about, and that is I get questions. A lot of you have seen me use my ballistic gel in ballistic testing with my powder coated cast lead bullets. And a lot of you ask, if I could do a video showing, the process of how I melt this stuff down and maintain it. Well, I thought I would go ahead and do that. It'd be worth doing, especially since I have done all kind of crazy things with ballistics gel. I've made my own ballistic gel from cornstarch, and I've made it from gelatin and other things that I could come up with in the shop. And I'll tell you, it's difficult to make enough of the ballistic gel that you need, and then the downside is it's usually a one-time deal. So I went ahead and bit the bullet, so to speak. Well, the ballistic gel, I'm gonna give you the process that I use to maintain it and melt it down and reform it, and I'm also going to let you know what the cost associated with it is. So you can spend $20, $30, $40 just in gelatin and or cornstarch and all of these other things that are processed to make ballistic gel, and it would pay if you're just going to use it, just one time and that's it. But for me, I do a lot more than that. Unfortunately, it's best that I go ahead and spend the money up front for the ballistics gel. I bought this from Brownells, and I paid $130 for each block. And in my opinion, if you're going to do any ballistics testing, much at all, you're going to need 2 blocks in order to capture and do the work that you want to do with your bullets. So I went ahead right off the bat and just went ahead and got 2 of them. They're 16 inches long by 6 inches square, and they're $130 a piece. So that's $260 for 2 blocks. And then I went ahead and I was thinking I'm going to build my own form, and then I decided I'll go ahead and buy one form, and it was a big decision for me because these things are $55 or so, a good average. But I will tell you that these things are really solid. It's not going to give you any bulging in your ballistic gel, but I will say that I am positive that someone could make their own, and I may actually make another one myself. But come to find out, buying one of them was just fine because I can only do one at a time in the oven anyway. It takes up quite a bit of space. They're 20 pounds a piece of each ballistic gel block. So let me show you how I do it. Now I went ahead and I just on my last ballistic test that I did, I was shooting meat and ribs and bone, so I had to slice my ballistic gel down the channels that the bullets made, and I had to take my water hose and squirt it all out and clean all the blood and the meat and all that out of it. That's one part of it if you're shooting meat and that kind of thing. Otherwise, you would just slice it open and take out anything that's off color, and clean out any little pieces of lead. You don't have to be too anal about it. Depends on how beautiful and clear you want to keep it each time. But what I did is I went ahead and the best thing to do with these ballistic gel blocks is to go ahead and break them. Sometimes you can take and slice with a knife and then rip sections off, and then you just break it just like this, All right. So, in my opinion, you know, by buying the ballistic gel, I can use this over and over again, so it's really a cost savings and a lot less hassle. Now, there is some work involved in maintaining your ballistic gel. All right. So, I mean, you have to clean it out, like I said, and it takes approximately 5 hours in the oven in order to melt it down properly and get all the bubbles out of it. So I just rip it apart, clean out any little pieces as I'm ripping it apart that's off color or little pieces of lead or anything like that. And I just do just like this. And what I'm doing right now is you're better off to use a couple of pans like I'm doing here instead of putting it all inside of your big container. Alright, and the reason it's best to do this is because it's going to melt down a lot faster. I have no idea how long it would take to melt down. Well, first of all, it's not going to fit in that container if you break it up. But I have no idea. I can just imagine it would probably be a day or two in the oven in one solid block inside that thing. I don't know for sure, but this is the recommended way. Go ahead and break it down just like this. Put it in separate pans, because when you put it in these separate pans, especially aluminum, conducts heat really well. And so you fill a couple of these small baking pans up like this. I don't know what size these are, 8 by 12 or whatever it is, pans. And I just fill them up just like that, and then I take and go ahead and put right in. And it's very important that, there's my second one. It's very important that you bake these down at the right temperature, because these pans, this ballistic gel, if you overheat it, it's going to turn brown on you. So what I do is I put these in the oven at 255 degrees. All right, I have found, you know, I know every oven is a little different, but the recommended temperature is between 250 and 260. So, you know, if you're really anal about it, you can put a thermometer in there and find out, you know, what the temperature is. But I haven't had to do that. I just go ahead and put it in at 255, and I fill my pans up with these blocks, with these little pieces. I had to do this outside because I was squirting with the water hose and all of that. So, put the pieces in, break them up in chunks, and then put them in the oven at 250. And once these small pans right here are going to melt first. Alright, because what I do after I fill this all up good, then I go ahead and put the remaining silicone gel. And these are, this is your Clear Ballistics 10% FBI gel, 16 by 6 square, and so I have 32 inches to shoot through. So $260 for the gel for 2 blocks, and then $55 or so for the mold to put it in. And it's up to you if you want to make your own. I'll tell you that these things are good and solid. So, and then once I fill this up, I go ahead and slide it in on the bottom shelf, and then I take my large container, my mold, And I go ahead and fill that up with the remaining gel that I have left. And just that amount will, nearly fills this up. These Walmart bags sure do come in handy, don't they? So then I do that. This is the remaining balance right here. I already broke this up, so I'm just going to throw it right in here. I broke it up and cleaned all the junk out of it. Now, when you're using, the cornstarch or the gelatin, it's a one-time deal. So I really did think that this was a good idea, and it really has been for me because I do a lot of testing with my ammo. So, see, there's the rest of it, and it fills this up near about. And so I got my oven set at 250, and I put the two small ones on the bottom, and then I put that one on the top, and I set my oven for 255 is what I use on my oven. It seems to do the best at 255. So I set it at 255, and then what I'll do is I'll bring you back in a minute. It'll probably take about an hour and a half for these two small bottom trays to melt down enough to where I can pour those inside of the large container. So I'll bring you back in about an hour and a half or so, and we'll pour these containers, these small ones, the baking sheets, into the large one, and the large one will have melted down enough to give me the room that I need to pour these in. And I'll show you how that works. So I'll bring you back in just a minute. Okay, so it's been exactly an hour and a half, just like I thought it was. It's exactly an hour and a half. So what we're going to do is now this one has melted down just enough. It still has some pieces in it there that are not completely liquid. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out, now these are 250 degrees, so you want to be as careful as you have to be to handle 250 degrees. Now the ones in these pans have completely melted. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this just right in there. Just go ahead and pour it out. You don't have to worry too much about anything. Just go ahead and I'll let you see it. I'm just using pot holders here, but you guys need to be as careful as you feel like you need to be for something 250 degrees. Now this is silicone, so I mean if it gets on you at this temperature, that could hurt really bad. It'll stick to you. So I've done this a time or two, so I'm just doing it this way. And I have a spoon here, and you don't really have to worry about the mess so much because this stuff dries up or cools off and hardens pretty quick. All right, and it'll just peel right off. It's silicone. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take my spoon and just run that edge just like that. All right. There's a little. It's not very difficult. And then this will all peel right out of there in a minute. You'll see. So there's that one. I'm going to come over here and take this other one out. And you can just set this spoon down anywhere. whatever you set it on, it'll be just fine. Whatever, if it gets on something, it'll just come right off of it. It's silicone. And I'll go ahead and get on this side again. And you just pour that. Just pour it right in there, just like that. Don't have to be finicky with it. Just pouring it right out. And the reason it takes so long to cook, because this stuff gets a lot of bubbles in it, you know, as you're cooking it down, and you have to cook it long enough, you know, it has to stay in the oven long enough for all of your bubbles to work out. The way it is right now, it wouldn't make very good, reliable ballistic gel, because it has chunks in it and it has bubbles all in it. So an hour and a half in these two pans, it just speeds things up by putting, you know, half of it or so in a couple of other aluminum pans especially, but you could use anything you wanted. See, we're just going to set that down. Alright. And this spoon, you know, see, it's already cool enough almost, you know, for me at least, obviously, to grab the spoon. Maybe I have probably tougher hands than some people, but you know, whatever range you're at, you know. But see how it just peeled right off of that spoon? This stuff is awesome. You don't have to worry about making a mess. So then what we do is we have this thing, this pan. This was the first pan, and what I do is I just kind of peel it away here. Alright. It's already cool enough for me to handle in this aluminum. And then you just take this and peel it. It's just like that. And then right there where it poured, it's a little thicker, so you know, some of you may have to wait a little bit longer to handle it than I do. I don't know. But, you know, you can see I've got my hand in it pretty good here. And it cools off that quick. But now whenever it's this thick, it takes a while. Now we'll go to the last one here. Now it's still, you know, a little warm. But I can go ahead and start, because the silicone has already set up enough to peel. And you just go around it again. Just like we did on the last one. And I'm doing this in real time, so you can probably be the judge of how long it took to cool off enough to do as much as I'm doing. Now this one is, it's a little warm, to be honest with you, but not scalding warm or hot. So this one's giving me a little more grief because it's not quite ready to come out yet. Another 1 minute or 2 minutes, and it'll probably come out a lot easier than what it's doing for me right now, but you kind of get the picture. And then what we're going to do is, after we get all this out and put the rest of this back inside the larger tray there, then we're going to let it go for approximately 4 more hours or 5 more hours, right? Until, when you look at it, check on it in about 4 hours if you want. And when you look at it, when all of the bubbles have all went to the top and broke, or if there's just a layer of bubbles on top, it's no problem at all. that could be the bottom of your ballistic gel. Or you can, I'll show you later how that you can take your heat gun and smooth this out and make it, you know, really pop, make it really clear. So for now, we're going to go ahead and put this back in, and it's going to go for about 5 hours or so, maybe four to 5 hours more, and we're going to check it, and when all the bubbles are out of it, we're going to take this out. We're going to let it cool, and then we're going to pull it out of the mold. Okay, it's been about 3.5 hours, and we're going to go ahead and check it. This will be for a total of 5 hours, and it is done. I don't know if you can see on the video here, but it's you have just a little tiny bit of bubbles that are just sitting on top, but all of the inside of it has cleared. So you have a nice clear gel here, and the only bubbles that is left is on top. So it took exactly, you know, the 5 hours that I predicted, and that's about standard. It can vary a little bit, you know, given, you know, the size chunks you make and what procedure you use and how your oven is working, you know, as far as the temperature of your oven, if it's, you know, right on or not. But here it is. You can probably see that it's nice and clear, basically all the way through, just on top. And another tip and trick that I may mention is that, you know, make sure that your oven is level. You know, we may take for granted that our ovens are all level. Some of them are not, and if that's the case, you may want to, whenever you put it on your rack, you may want to put something, you know, under the pan or something, range it to where you can level it. Otherwise you'll have a lopsided ballistic gel block. Okay, it just so happens that mine is perfectly level. Surprise, surprise. So that's great. So now I'm just going to go ahead and take this and just set it right on top of the stove, and that's where I'm going to let it cool off. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to let this cool off, and then I'm going to let you see me pull this out. It's quite a chore getting this stuff out of this mold, so you'll see that as soon as this cools off. I'm going to bring you back, and then we're going to pull this out of the mold. Okay, now this thing has cooled overnight, and you know, from my experience, I probably let it cool a little bit too much. It seems like it's a little bit easier to get out when it's still just warm, not hot at all. You know, the core has to be, you know, you can feel around this box, you know, and determine, you know, you just don't, it can't be hot at all. You don't want it hot at all, because it'll be a little too pliable and you could rip it taking it out. It needs to be cool. It don't hurt to, I mean, I don't think it's a good idea to leave it in this. You know, it can, you know, the cooler it gets, the harder it is to get out, in my experience. So whenever it's just warm is a good time to take it out. So this has cooled off about 8, maybe 9 hours. You could probably take it out after 6 hours or so. So I'm gonna let you see. It's you know, it takes a little bit to get this out of there. I mean, it's in there good. I mean, you might want to, you know, warm up a little bit. So here we go. What I like to do is I like to break the seal here. Just kind of take my hand like this and pull it off the edge all the way around. You don't want to be too aggressive with it, but these things are really tougher than you think. You can do a lot more pulling than you think. So after you break that seal real good, it pays to take a little bit of time doing this. Then you want to get it started here. Just kind of work your hand in there, pulling it off the edge and pulling it down. And it takes some work. Just kind of pull and hold pressure and let it slowly work its way out. And once you get your hand underneath it, it gets a little easier at that point, which I'm not there yet. Okay, I have my hand behind it. And then once you get your hand under it, you can just slowly release these edges again and just slowly let it come out. Like that. See, now it gets easier. I get my hand behind it and I just kind of let it try to fall on me. No easier way to do it, really. Like that. And there it is. I mean, it's a chore. Yeah, I mean, that's quite a workout. It really is. And you know, that's the container. It's a good solid container. It's really worth getting, I think. And you can see that's the bubbles from, you know, the top where the bubbles come out. And that's usually the bottom for me. I'll set it down on those bubbles as the bottom, like that. Now, this right here will actually clear up. You can take your heat gun and you can clear this up. Now I can see there's little pieces of lead that I didn't cut out of there good. But you get this heat gun, let it heat up. It needs to be hot, and you'll be able to see it. I hope you can see this. You let it sit on there like that, move it slowly down, and what it's doing is it's melting all of the fog and the fingerprints and all of that off, and you'll be able to see this slowly clear up. If you don't see it on video, trust me, this works really good in clearing this gel up to you know, nearly crystal clear, or as crystal clear as it'll get. I don't know if that's showing up for you, but it's really clearing up, and when I hit, you'll be able to see more. Yes, I can tell that this is really clearing up. You'll be able to see more light transfer through it. And maybe you'll be able to see it better once I clear this other side. What this does is it takes the fog and the fingerprints off of it. Even after you have shot this, even after you shoot it and it's not completely gone yet where you have to remelt it, you can go ahead and clear this back up just by using your heat gun. I hope that you can see this in the video, but it makes a really big difference if you want it really clear so that you can see your bullet. So now you can see a lot better through it, and I could probably do a better job. But that's basically it, guys. I just wanted to show you, I was getting questions about it, melting this down and the cost associated with it, and if I can do a video on how the procedure is done and what it entails. So YouTube, thanks again, and I will see you in the next video.